r/AskReddit, nsfw, men of Reddit, what's the creepiest thing a woman has ever said to you? Did some mushrooms when I was like 18 or so. Sat in the town center and the local crazy lady asked me, so how long have you been dead? Fucked my whole day up, man. A girl once told me that she was jealous of her friend because she got raped and got a cute baby out of it. I don't think I ever felt less comfortable. She said my dead brother was talking to her. Drunk woman with an older lady nearby sat down next to me on a bench and looked at me. I'll fuck you if you can beat up my mom over there. I hate to tell you this, but I had to have an abortion, and it was yours. We never did more than kiss. I mean, I'm a pretty solid kisser, but not that good. I stopped seeing this girl because she got a little stalkerish, and one day after getting home from walking my dog, Betsy, I got a text from her saying, "Betsy got so big." Proceeded to shut my blinds and deadbolt the front door. Back in college I was at a study group and I found myself talking to this girl. Just talking about class and eventually just talking about random other stuff like life at school and favorite places to eat nearby. Then after a moment of silence she tells me that she wants to see me fight off a group of guys trying to attack her, and she'd hold me while I was beaten up and bleeding on the floor. I mean, just randomly dropping that on someone when a minute ago we were talking about best places to get cheap food is a bit much. Edit, for the dozens of people asking. I just kinda brushed it off and awkwardly tried to turn the conversation to something not about me getting violently beat up. Also, I'd maybe talked to her a handful of times and always in class, and this was the first out of classroom conversation I'd had with her. I worked at a fast food place years ago. My girlfriend came in for a milkshake, and was waiting at the end of the counter with one of our regulars. Doris, the regular, was near 90 years old, and had invited me home to have pot roast at her house multiple times. I was being a pain, and put about a foot of whipped cream over the top of the lid of my GF's milkshake and brought it to her. Doris looked at her, then looked at me deadpan and said, "I wish you'd cream me like that." Doris never ordered desserts. Edit, added a much needed space. Was on a nearly empty plane, sitting in the last row, in a window seat. No one else in the row. I eventually fell asleep. Woke up with a tatted up goth looking chick sitting next to me, eyes boring a hole through my head, just straight up staring unblinkingly at me. I look at her and I'm like, hi. She stares for like 5 more long seconds and then exhales, "Sorry, you looked like an angel sleeping with the sun on your face," she said breathlessly. We chatted for maybe another 30 seconds or so. She apologized for staring like that a couple more times, then she went back to her seat. Shit was surreal though. Do you want to stick it in my stinky, sticky pussy? I was still a virgin and this question did not convince me to stick it anywhere for a while. A complete and total stranger walked over to me and said, "I need you to rearrange my guts with your cock." She pointed at the men's bathroom and then walked over and into it. While I left. This woman had 20 years at least on everyone in that place, and the best way for me to describe how she looked is to say half-crushed Birkin. She told me she would rather kill me and then herself than see me with someone else. I want to have your ADHD-infested children. Called me at work and said, "You don't know me, but I know you." Some woman asked me to stick my tongue out and then said, "You gonna make someone really happy with that big tongue of yours." I was 9. I'm, like, really submissive. Like, I let a guy shit in my mouth once, and I didn't even like him that much. For context, it was our second, and last, date. I worked at a caviar bar in SF and it was basically cougar bait. One time this relatively older lady said, "You look just like my son. You should come home with me. B should not follow from A. Will you sleep with me if I drug and stab you?" It'll be fun. I was waiting for my bus at 6 a.m. You look like a Greek god, I love to just look at you. My 30-something English teacher, to me, a 14-year-old boy while no one else could hear her. Edit. Well, this blew up. To clarify, she later got fired for hooking up with several guys from the higher grades. And to those asking if she was hot, who cares? It was a sexualish outing of a teacher to a minor. When I see these comments when the gender roles are reversed, I never see the question, but was he hot? As a physical therapist, fresh out of P.T. school, I was tasked with massaging the piriformis muscle of a 40-something woman, who was in town on business. For those of you who don't know, the piriformis is located in the area of the butt. So, it was already dicey. She was wearing a skirt and a thong underneath. As I was massaging, she began verbally directing me. Lower. To the right. Lower. Right some more, etc. Essentially verbally moving my hands to her anus. As I was getting closer, I was also getting more uncomfortable. Finally I said, "This isn't where your piriformis muscle is." She basically proceeded to tell me I was incompetent, and that she has had this done many times, and I was the one that didn't know where the piriformis was. Then she threatened that she was friends with the owner, and if I didn't massage where she wanted, she was going to complain. I told her that was okay, and I didn't feel comfortable touching the area she was wanting me to massage. And I left the room. She left, and nobody ever mentioned it to me, and I never saw her again. Edit. I just remembered this bit. This was back in 2005, so nobody had smartphones yet. But she had a BlackBerry. And the whole time this was happening, she was texting/emailing somebody on her BlackBerry. Which made the whole encounter that much more bizarre. I had a gal tell me she was gonna follow me home and fuck the dog shit out of me whether I wanted it or not. For context, I was living in the Bronx at the time. I heard shit like that all the time. As a child, I had a woman tell me I'm cute and that they hope to see me when I'm older. Didn't realize why my parents were outraged at the time. Before anybody asks, I am not a native English speaker, and in my language we have different types of cute, like for puppies or clothes, or the one she used which is cute but like kinda sexualized. A woman I matched with on Tinder told me that she likes to kill animals, and then asked to meet me in the middle of the woods. I figured that might be a red flag, so unmatched, and never went back to Tinder. Would it be weird if my son called you dad? I was 18, she was 25, we were co-workers at a Walmart photo lab, and she said that to me on the phone while I was walking to her place to hook up for the first time. I was young and horny and simply said, no. He'd just be wrong. If you didn't have the ring on you, I would have raped you. When I was younger, I worked in a bar popular with 18 to 20-year-olds. One night, as a group of girls was leaving, I made eye contact with one of them. That was enough. She came stumbling up to the bar and said, "I have to show you the background on my phone." She put her phone on the bar and the background was a picture of me. I took it about 3 weeks ago. I'm totally obsessed. Your photo is the last thing I see before I go to sleep and the first thing I see when I wake up. Had an ex who routinely threatened to cut it off. Any chance she got, she would have her hands on it and sometimes would say things like, "If you ever cheat on me, I'll cut you dick off, and if I could cut it off and keep it in a jar, I wouldn't need you anymore." I would wake up with her holding onto it while looking at me. Crazy AF, but yet. "I enjoyed having sex with your penis last night." She was German and she said it like how the Terminator speaks. A few years ago I started hanging out with this girl who was around my friend group at the time, and came to trivia nights with us occasionally. Things were going well at first, but then I started noticing some odd signs. She never slept, She would do bizarre things like start her shower, then go start cooking food, then sit down and begin tending her plants as if she kept forgetting what task she was doing. She put a sign out on her lawn with her cell phone number on it wanting to connect with strangers. It got weirder as it went on. I mentioned to her once that I liked thunderstorms and she became convinced that I could cause thunderstorms. At first I thought she was joking, but it started to weird me out. Then one night when I was sleeping over I noticed that she was just sitting in bed watching me. She put her hand on my heart and whispered that she could hear the beautiful fishes in my blood. That very morning, her father burst into her apartment yelling about her appointment with the psychiatrist that she kept avoiding. She told me that her parents and the doctors were trying to convince her that she had bipolar disorder, and wanted to shut her brain off. Long story short, her friends and family convinced her to go. She bravely took on her mental illness and got help before the manic episode got out of control, and now we are very close friends to this day. Slept with a girl once. 3 days later in a crowded car with our friends, she turned and stared at me for a few seconds, and said, "We should get married." I did the only responsible thing I could do and kept sleeping with her until she lost interest and moved on to another. Edit for clarification, though we didn't have sex in the car. LOL. As a child, 10y. Oh. My then stepmom requested some specific candy bar from my trick-or-treating haul. When I refused, she casually said, "I'll rape you for it." I had only a vague idea what the word meant, but it sounded like bad news. Bonus, same individual performed a tactile inspection of my downstairs when I tried on a new bathing suit to ensure that my package was alright. I wanna have your babies. It was the first time we met and it was at our job. I recently spent the weekend with a woman. We have hooked up periodically for the last 25 years. Anyways, we were chatting and she brought up how a guy she had dated insisted he come to a DRS appointment with her. The doctor informed her that she has herpes and the guy was disturbed by this. She was complaining about this to me hours after we had sex. She was bitching to a guy who just slept with her that another guy was disturbed by her being diagnosed with herpes. So far I have had no blisters, but it's the last time I will hook up with her. I could just scrape your cum out of the condom and get myself pregnant. Edit, of all the things I could have in common with Drake, I'm glad it's not sliding into the DMs of teenage actresses. Second edit, please don't flush your condoms. Use a spermicidal lubricant instead. Think of the turtles. First day of my real job right out of college, I was introduced to an older lady in the office. Gave her my name and a handshake, and she proceeded to not say anything and look me up and down like I was a slab of USDA prime beef. Licked her lips. Classic Joyce, as it turns out. I want to have sex with you and I want my husband to come in the room to catch us having sex and you ending up fighting him. Incest is the best. Put your cousin to the test. My cousin. I haven't had women say particularly creepy things to me, but at conventions I've had women sniff my hair on the escalator, and I've had my tights covered ass groped. Only ever by women. For most of these, I was cosplaying Zap Brannigan. At my first job being a cashier, I had a much older lady tell me I looked like a cute lost puppy, and she wanted to put a leash on me and pull me home. Edit, I see how some people might see this as a bad attempt at being cute, but there's more to it. I was 18, this lady easily 65 to 70 years old. She was biting her lip and staring me up and down the whole time, and had this gross grin. It definitely felt sexual and made me so uncomfortable. My friend had sex with you when you passed out drunk last night. She didn't use a condom and now you owe her $40 because she had to use a Plan B kit. Yes, she told me that. 1. I was raped. 2. She knew about it. 3. She did nothing. 4. She sided with her friend that I had done something wrong. 5. I was financially responsible for making sure a baby didn't happen. All of that from a single sentence. Fun fact, she was also my boss and her friend was a coworker. I reported everything to her boss and HR and they told me point blank, men can't be raped. I want to rape you. Me, you mean like kink roleplay? Rough BDSM? No, I mean like violently rape you, forcefully, against your will. Smiley face, out of nowhere, by a person I had talked to and known for 8 months. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed this video and subscribe to never miss an upload.